Hello, my name is Corey Wade, and I'm going to share a quick hack with you on how to apply technique into our musicianship. And I'm going to use a very cool approach here of looking in two very different ways. One is the bottom-up approach, and the other is the top-down approach. So from the technical perspective, this conversation is about applying technique. Now we can actually apply ideas and creativity and other concepts here too, but we're just going to stay inside the technical conversation for today's video. If we're looking at applying technique from the bottom-up approach, what we do is look at the music first and then go to the technique. So we choose the song, make sure that we have the song or that we're working on the song in question, and then find the technique that's relevant to that song. So for example, I might be playing Fur Elise, and I keep playing, I'm working my way through the entire piece, and at some point I might notice, oh yeah, there's a chromatic scale in there. So then what I could do from the bottom-up approach is I have the song Fur Elise, and I'm looking for a technique that will support and develop and refine the piece, right? So I could look and say, right, there's chromatic scale there. So what I could do now is move to working on the technique of chromatics. And I'm not going to teach the technique here, but the idea is that now I might be either learning how to do chromatics or I might be already accessing my chromatic drills. So let's say you've got going down, you might have going back up again, you might have in parallel, you might have in contra, you might have more creative offsets or ratios, or you might know some chromatics from some other songs. You're practicing your chromatic skill set, and then you can go back to the Fur Elise after a while and experience the refinement of that skill inside of Fur Elise. So that's the bottom-up approach. That's more commonly done. It's more commonly approached. Technical work is more commonly approached this way. The other approach is called the top-down approach, and what we do is we start with the technique first. So I'll use a different example. Let's say I'm working with double thirds. Again, I'm not teaching them out here, just demoing the idea. So however I can practice and know double thirds, I might train that for a little bit. And then from the top-down approach, what I'm going to do is look at my playlist, look at the music that I have, and go, right, what song do I have, or songs do I have that I could apply the double thirds into that would help the song? What songs contain double thirds? And so I'm like, oh right, that's right, Claire de Lune. So I've done my drill, I've done my technique, and now I've looked critically at my playlist, top down, technique into music, and now I'm starting to play the music and apply that technique into the music. And I might find a few other songs in my playlist that have double thirds. So this might even open your relationship or perspective of the music you're already playing, because you're looking at it in a different way. So what we're doing today is talking about perspectives as well. Bottom-up approaches, top-down. Ultimately, both are very powerful to have, but they come at things from a very different angle, very different perspectives, right? And so that's an example of the bottom-up and the top-down approach. The top-down approach also has another access of possibility here, which is instead of doing double thirds and then looking for music that contains double thirds, what I could do is practice double thirds and then creatively push them into the existing music that I have, just randomly choose a song and then have an experience of creativity. It might become improvisational, or it might become arranging. You might rearrange a song that you already have, or it might ultimately be developing your compositional skills because you're getting generative with your knowledge and you're applying it creatively. So how about I do, say, Fur Elise, because that was the first demo song, and what I'll do is creatively for a moment apply double thirds into Fur Elise. Here we go. So I played Fur Elise bit over the years, but I've never quite done that before. So I did it very simply, but I've just had a creative experience of applying my technique into my music. So there's a quick hack on the two approaches, the bottom-up approach and top-down approach. Today's conversation was about applying technique or working with technique inside our musicianship. And in future videos, we'll be looking at applying these approaches, bottom-up and top-down, to other things like concepts and ideas, polyrhythms, for example. So you could do polyrhythm into your music or music into polyrhythms. There's lots of creative possibilities here. See you in a future video. Ciao.